There is no agreement in Jewish tradition as to when and where the Messiah will come. One belief is that when men grow hopelessly bad, that will be the time to expect his coming. Another belief is that he will come only when misfortune will rise up and sweep over Israel like the sea at flood tide. Still another view is that the Son of David will come to that generation which will repent of its evil ways and become thoroughly righteous. Once, two sages of the Talmud, Rabbi Hai the Great and Rabbi Simeon ben Halafta, were traveling all night in the valley of Arbal. As the first rays of the sun shot over the rim of the horizon, Rabbi Hai was filled with rapture. "Rabbi," he cried to his companion, "this will be the way the Jewish redemption will come, like the rising sun, gradually, slowly, until it will appear in the sky in all its dazzling radiance." The longing for the Messiah's coming was the golden dream of the Jewish people through the ages. The greater its suffering, the more unendurable its persecution, the more compelling became its escape drive to the mysticism of the Kabbalah. Where it could not cope with the problems of life by ordinary means, its desperation led it to reach out to the supernatural, like daydreaming children. By invoking the magical yet ever elusive powers supposed to reside in the hidden wisdom of the Kabbalah, they hoped to bring an end to their exile and to their suffering. To hasten the coming of the Messiah and the redemption of Israel became, therefore, the single-minded objective of all Kabbalists, including some of the 18th century Hasidic tzaddikim. The Messiah quest of the Kabbalists is nowhere as strikingly projected as in the legend of Joseph della Reyna. It is the golden legend of the Kabbalists, and is imbued with a lofty altruism. Considered in relation to the spirit and the culture of the times, the Kabbalists, by and large, were men of selfless and pure intention. To hasten the redemption, they were ready to offer every personal sacrifice, even to the extent of life itself. Of all the legends of the Kabbalists, that of Joseph della Reyna is the most dramatic. For many generations it has stirred the imagination and emotions of the Jewish folk mind, for it articulates its ages-old longing for the Messiah. The Messianic tradition is the most fundamental and pervasive in Jewish religious thought. It poignantly reflects the frustration of the life force of a whole people for many centuries. To the discerning reader, it soon becomes clear that behind all the medieval magical trappings of the legend of Joseph della Reyna, so natural to a superstitious age, there shines forth a moving ethical doctrine that is imbued with a compassion and a selfless love for mankind. Seeing that there were in Jerusalem so many pious men who sought God and loved truth, Rabbi Joseph della Reyna came to a firm decision. It is high time to force the coming of the Messiah. He knew full well that it would not be an easy thing to accomplish. Nonetheless, he remained hopeful that where others had failed, he would succeed. Among his disciples there were 5 who were pure in heart and in intention. They were Kabbalists who had delved deeply into the secret truths of the Zohar. Night and day they sat with Rabbi Joseph over their sacred studies. It was to them that he revealed all the hidden wisdom of this world and the next. Together they would grieve and lament over the exile of the Shekinah, and over the sorrows of the Jewish people in dispersion. Once, as they sat studying the Kabbalah, with deep inner rapture, Rabbi Joseph paused and said to the 5 disciples, "Know that I have given much thought about you, and have gone through great inner searching about myself. The Lord has blessed us with wisdom and knowledge. We have acquired a greater mastery of the Kabbalah than have all those who have come before us. To us have been revealed all the innermost secrets of the Torah. By its power, we are capable of performing the greatest wonders. For these reasons, I have come to the conclusion that it is our duty to use these exceptional powers for great ends. We are able to accomplish something that will be sure to create a tremendous stir on earth and in heaven. My beloved sons, it is our sacred duty to drive all evil from the world, to hasten the coming of the Messiah, to redeem the Jewish people, and to bring back the holy Shekinah from its long exile. Don't think I have arrived at my decision lightly. I have concerned myself with this matter for a long time, and have drawn up my plans in detail. But because it is difficult for one individual to accomplish such a tremendous task, I therefore require your help." The 5 disciples answered as with one voice, "Holy Rabbi, we are eager to do everything necessary in order to help you in this great work. We know that God, blessed be his name, is with you, and we hope that you will succeed in achieving your goal." When Rabbi Joseph della Reyna heard this, he rejoiced greatly and said to them, "We must now make ready for our holy task. Go therefore and bathe, put on clean raiment, and for 3 days and 3 nights thereafter you must keep your bodies and souls pure and holy. After that you will prepare food and drink to last a long time. On the 3rd day we will go forth into the wilderness. We cannot return until we have successfully carried out our mission." The disciples then went about making their preparations with great inner trembling. Their spirits, too, were filled with a sacred flame and longing to accomplish their task. So they bathed and made themselves clean. They put on white raiment and renounced all worldly interests. They preserved their bodies and their thoughts in purity and holiness. They also prepared ample provisions for the long journey. On the 3rd day they came to Rabbi Joseph della Reyna. When they arrived, they found Rabbi Joseph in deep thought. A dazzling radiance streamed from his face. He was praying with such deep ecstasy that his soul seemed to have risen aloft from this world of sin. It soared upwards into the highest reaches of heaven. When Rabbi Joseph saw his disciples, he greeted them with the tenderness of a father. "Come to me, my beloved disciples," he said. "You have done what I have asked of you. You are now worthy of helping me in my sacred task. God, blessed be he, will most assuredly show us the way. He will help us reach our goal by the power of his holy name." "Amen," the disciples answered fervently. Their souls became intertwined with his and rose up from the sinful world, winging their way to the pure celestial regions. Rabbi Joseph also had completed his preparations. Besides food and drink, he took along with him a writing quill and parchment. "Let us go," he said to his disciples, and then they started out on their quest. At last they came to Meron and prayed at the grave of Rabbi Simeon ben Yochai, the teacher of all Kabbalists, the author of the Zohar. They spent 3 days and 3 nights there. They neither ate nor slept, but delved into the mysteries of the Zohar and sent up flaming prayers to God. On the 3rd day, when dawn began to break, Rabbi Joseph suddenly ended his vigil and fell asleep. This filled his disciples with alarm. Could it be that the Master's spirit was blemished with weakness? But they held their peace and did not say a word. As Rabbi Joseph slept, he dreamed that Rabbi Simeon ben Yochai and his son Eliezer came and reproved him. "How rash of you to have undertaken such a terrifying task as this! Be forewarned, you will fail miserably in your attempt. You will be beset by insuperable difficulties and dangers. You cannot emerge out of this alive, and, having failed, your souls will be condemned to everlasting purgatory. However, since you are resolute in your decision, let us caution you to be discreet in your speech and in your actions, so that those evil spirits who wish to do you harm may not have any power over you. Almighty God, blessed be his name, knows my pure intention," replied Rabbi Joseph. "He knows full well that what I am doing is not for my selfish ends, but for the good of all the Jews and of all mankind. Therefore, he will help me achieve my goal, in order that I may sanctify his name among all the peoples of the earth." The souls of Rabbi Simeon ben Yochai and his son Eliezer then gave their blessings to Rabbi Joseph. "May God help and keep you wherever you may turn," they prayed. Rabbi Joseph awoke and told his disciples what he had dreamed. They then understood that he had fallen asleep by the will of God, and that it was not due to weakness of spirit. Then they arose and continued on their way. Not far from Tiberias, they came to a large forest and remained there all day. They tasted neither food nor drink, for they wished to purify their bodies and spirits from earthly taint. The beauty of the forest enveloped them. Cool green trees wafted their fragrance everywhere. The birds sat in the branches, trilling their songs of joy to the Creator. But Rabbi Joseph and his disciples neither saw nor heard them, out of fear that sensuous thoughts might snare them away from their sacred mission. All day long they delved into the profoundest mysteries of Kabbalah, studied the sacred formulae, calculated gematriot, and drew mystic designs of God's 10 emanations, the Sephirot. This they did for 2 days, and neither ate nor drank, all the time remaining apart from the earth and from its pleasures. 33 times a day they purified their bodies in the Sea of Galilee, and each time they repeated the holy formulae and incantations. At the end of each day they broke their fast, but they tasted neither fish nor flesh. They ate only bread and water, but not too much of that, only enough to keep alive. On the afternoon of the 3rd day, Rabbi Joseph and his disciples recited the Mincha prayers with great fervor, and, as they stood silently pronouncing the 18 benedictions, their thoughts dwelled with utmost concentration on the secret mysteries of the Kabbalah. Rabbi Joseph della Reyna then prayed by himself. He invoked all the angels and seraphim to come to his aid. By the power of the Kabbalah, he invoked the prophet Elijah to make his appearance before him. "O Elijah," he exhorted, "come to me and teach me how I should behave, so that I may carry through the plan I have undertaken." No sooner had he finished praying than Elijah appeared. "Tell me what it is you wish, and I will teach it to you," he promised. "Forgive me, holy prophet, for troubling you," Rabbi Joseph replied. "Believe me, it is not for my own glory, and not for that of my ancestors, but for the glory of God, blessed be his name, and of his people and of his holy Torah. I believe I deserve your help. Show me the way I can triumph over Satan and his hosts. Show me how I can make holiness triumph over evil, and thus bring redemption to all mankind." Elijah the prophet grew sad. "I wish to warn you," he said, "that you have taken upon yourself a task that no human being can accomplish. In order to vanquish Satan and his demons, you and your disciples must become holier and purer than you are. I might say that to triumph over Satan you will have to become like the very angels. Your aim, of course, is an exalted one, and, should you succeed, you will be the happiest man on earth, for you will have brought redemption to the whole world. Nevertheless, I warn you that you are attempting something beyond your human strength. Take my advice. Abandon your plan." Thereupon, Rabbi Joseph began to weep. "Dear prophet of God," he pleaded, "how can I give up what I have started? Do not abandon me now. It is too late for me to turn back. I have sworn before God that I will not rest until I have driven Satan from the earth and have brought Messiah, the Redeemer of the Jewish people and of all peoples. I will not rest until I have restored the Shekinah to the glory it possessed when the temple still stood in Jerusalem. For these ends I am eager to sacrifice my life. Know that I will not let you go until you help me and show me the right path to follow and the right course to take." As the prophet Elijah looked upon Rabbi Joseph della Reyna, he was filled with a great compassion for him. "Dry your tears, dear son," he said. "I will help you in whatever way I can to fulfill your task. You and your disciples must continue fasting for 21 days, nor must you touch any impure thing. When you break your fast at night, eat only a morsel of bread, just enough to keep alive. In addition, you must bathe 21 times in the Sea of Galilee, so that you become pure and holy like the angels. And when the 21 days are up, you must enter into a fast, which will last 3 days and 3 nights. At the end of the 3rd day you must recite the Mincha prayers, wearing talit and tefillin. After that you must recite the verse, 'Flaming angels surround the Holy One, blessed be He.' After that, you must invoke the angel Sandalphon by means of Kabbalistic formulae. Thereupon he and his angel hosts will appear immediately. Be prepared with strong spices for the coming of these angels, so that they might revive you from the terror into which you will fall when you perceive the holy fire and the mighty whirlwind which will come in the wake of the heavenly host. Remember, when they appear, you must fall upon your faces and recite the verse, "Praised be his name, whose glorious kingdom is forever and ever." After that, the mighty angel Sandalphon will reveal himself to you. You must then ask him what you should do in order to drive the spirit of evil from the world. If you do as I bid, and provided Almighty God wills it so, then you will be able to bring the redemption for all the world. After having blessed Rabbi Joseph and his disciples, the prophet Elijah vanished. And Rabbi Joseph della Reyna and his 5 disciples did all that the prophet Elijah had told them. When their fasting, vigils, prayers, and austerities were over, a terrifying tumult arose in heaven. The angel Sandalphon with his host of seraphim swept down upon the earth amidst a whirlwind and with a pillar of flame before them. Seeing them, Rabbi Joseph and his disciples became faint with fear and fell upon their faces. But they smelled the strong spices, and their energies returned. Then they cried out, "Praised be his name, whose glorious kingdom is forever and ever." Only then did they dare to look upon the angels clothed in flame and splendor. The angel Sandalphon now spoke, and his voice sounded like the low muttering of thunder. "O sinful mortals! Where did you get the strength and the insolence to cause such a turmoil in all the 7 heavens? How dare you trouble me and the hosts of heaven to descend to the sinful earth? I bid you desist from this madness." So great was the terror of Rabbi Joseph that he lost the power of speech. Finally, he fortified his spirit and replied, "Holy angel Sandalphon, believe me, I have not done this for my glory, but for the glory of the Creator, blessed be his name, for the glory of the Holy Torah, for the glory of the grandchildren of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Forgive me my insolence, for I could not help myself. I could no longer look on the suffering of my people in exile. I could no longer stand by, watching our enemies trampling us underfoot in the dust. My only aim is to drive away the impure demons who defile the world, who dim the holy flame of our faith. I wish to return the Shekinah to the ancient luster it had when the temple still stood in Jerusalem. Let God be my witness that my intention is pure and my course upright. Therefore, O holy angel, I beg you to help me. Show me the right path. Teach me the right course, so that I can bring the Messiah, the Redeemer, down on earth." The angel Sandalphon was filled with compassion as he looked upon Rabbi Joseph della Reyna. "May God be with you until you reach your goal," he cried. "Rest assured that all angels in heaven are in agreement that the Messiah should come and bring the redemption for the Jewish people who suffer in exile. Yet I must warn you that you have undertaken a very difficult task, for Satan and the demons have untold power. Even we, the angels, cannot vanquish them. Only if God himself stands by you will you be able to achieve your aim. But how can you expect God to support you unless he believes that the right time has come for the Messiah? Again, I must warn you, your path is full of folly. Should you fail, you might make matters even worse. You might hand the victory to Satan, and he will become more arrogant and do greater evil than hitherto to mankind." Rabbi Joseph's heart overflowed with bitterness. Alas, even the mighty angel Sandalphon would not help him. In the meantime, the 5 disciples lay prostrate upon the ground, their faces hidden in terror. "Rise up! Rise up!" cried Rabbi Joseph. "Unite with me in prayer. Perhaps all together we will be able to soften the hearts of the angels, and they will agree to help us in our great work." Once again, Rabbi Joseph della Reyna pleaded with the angel Sandalphon, "Help me. Show me the right way." Sadly, the angel Sandalphon replied, "If I have come to you, it is because you forced me by pronouncing the ineffable name. But alas, I cannot help you. I myself do not know the means by which you can triumph over Satan and the demons. My one duty is to guard the way along which the prayers of the righteous mount to heaven, and to bring them before the throne of God. I have no power over Satan, and do not know whether I can pit my strength against his. However, if you are so desperately determined to achieve your goal, you must call upon the angel Metatron and his hosts. They have been assigned by God to prevent Satan from growing stronger. Yet I doubt very much whether you will be able to bring this great angel down to you. He resides in the seventh heaven, right next to the heavenly throne. Therefore, not every prayer can penetrate up to him. Even should he hear you, I doubt whether you and your disciples will be able to survive the terror of his presence. Know that he appears as a pillar of fire, and that his face is more dazzling than the sun. Therefore, I beg of you, abandon your plan, for it is madness." Still, Rabbi Joseph would not submit. "I know," said he brokenly, "that I am weak and insignificant. I know that it is impudence on my part to dare talk with angels and to contradict them. But I hope that the ruler of the world, reading my heart, will not spurn my prayer, and will aid me in the work that I have undertaken. O angel of the world, help me. Tell me how I can bring the angel Metatron down to earth." "Since you insist," replied the angel Sandalphon, "you and your disciples must do the following. You must fast 40 more days, and purify yourself 21 times each day in the Sea of Galilee. You must study Kabbalah and say your prayers incessantly. Both by day and by night must you purify your thoughts. You must eat still less than you have hitherto, and live on spices alone. After that you must recite the ineffable name, formed by 72 letters, and call upon Metatron, the angel of this mystic name, to appear before you." The angel Sandalphon then gave Rabbi Joseph and his disciples his blessing. "May your spirits be strong, and survive the terror of Metatron's presence." Then, followed by his hosts of angels, he mounted to heaven in a whirlwind. The stubbornness of Rabbi Joseph della Reyna aroused all the angels in heaven. Nothing was spoken of but his daring attempt to bring the Messiah down to earth. The Messiah himself was hopeful that soon he would have to descend on his white horse to the children of man. Even his horse began to chafe and paw, eager to be let out of the heavenly stable. Also, the prophet Elijah took out his great shofar and began to practice on it, for he would be the one to announce the coming of the Messiah with a mighty blast. When Satan got wind of the news, he trembled at the danger that was threatening him. At the time when all the angels and seraphim in heaven were rejoicing, he sat gnashing his teeth in the bottommost regions of the lowest Gehenna. He then took counsel with his wife, Lilith, who upbraided him for doing nothing, while their very existence was being threatened. Thereupon Satan hurried off to press his complaints before God. "The angels are playing me a trick," he cried. "They wish to make an end of me before my time has come. How, O Lord, can Messiah come when there are so many sinners among the Jews? As for this stubborn fool, Joseph della Reyna, give me permission to do with him what is just." But God denied him his request, for the prayers that Rabbi Joseph and his disciples had intoned, their days and nights of fasting, their sacred reflection and austerities, stood around them like a fortified wall. Therefore Satan had no power over them. Yet Satan could not be silenced. God told him that, although his arguments were just, it still lay within God's power to hasten the redemption, even before the appointed day, if he but wished it. Moreover, if the Jews possessed such a saint as Rabbi Joseph della Reyna, they were indeed worthy of the Messiah's quick coming. However, added God, should Joseph della Reyna stray from righteousness by even the thickness of a hair, I will give you the power to bring his plan to naught. When Rabbi Joseph della Reyna told his disciples what the angel Sandalphon had counseled him to do, they answered with one voice, "We will do whatever you require of us." They then left Tiberias and went up to a mountain fastness. They found a cave and made their home in it, Here they performed their austerities and vigils for 40 days and 40 nights, just as the angel Sandalphon had said. Finally, they became released from all the tentacles of this sinful world and reached the highest degree of sanctity and virtue. When the 40 days were over, they went farther into the wilderness and purified themselves in Lake Kishon. Then they recited the Mincha prayers with great fervor. After that, they clasped hands and formed a mystic circle. They prayed that God might give them the necessary strength to survive the terror of the fiery presence of the angel Metatron and of his angelic host. Finally, Rabbi Joseph pronounced the ineffable name of God, formed of 72 letters. Thereupon, the earth became convulsed and trembled. Lightning and thunder rent the heavens, and a whirlwind came. Rabbi Joseph and his disciples stood firm, clasping hands in the mystic circle. They smelled strong spices to fortify their spirits and intoned prayers. The angel Metatron appeared, surrounded by his host of angels and seraphim. "O sinful man," cried the angels, "O puny creature of flesh and blood, wretched as a worm! How dare you storm the heavens with your prayers and oblige the angels to come to earth?" Rabbi Joseph and his students were filled with terror. Summoning up all his courage, Rabbi Joseph spoke at last. "Holy angels, help me. Give me the strength to talk to you." The angel Metatron then drew near and touched Rabbi Joseph, whereupon he lost all fear and spoke. "Believe me, I have no evil intention. All I want is to bring the Messiah in order to end the exile of the Jewish people. Therefore, teach me how to vanquish Satan and his evil power." The angel Metatron became stern. "Foolish man," he cried, "all your efforts are in vain. Know that Satan is all-powerful. He is fortified by a great wall of the sins of the Jewish people. How can you expect to break through where others have failed? Only when God wills that the Messiah should come will he come. Therefore, abandon your plan." But Rabbi Joseph was stubborn. "Almighty God has helped me thus far, and I've remained among the living," he said. "Therefore, I will not turn back." When the angel Metatron saw that Rabbi Joseph could not be moved in his determination, he was filled with compassion for him. He then advised him what to do. He revealed to him all the mystic formulae, all the incantations, and the ineffable name. With their aid, he said, Rabbi Joseph would succeed in capturing Satan and Lilith, and thus drive all evil from the world. With that accomplished, the Messiah would surely come. He also had him engrave on a metal plate the ineffable name and taught him how to use it. He warned him especially to guard himself against the weakness of pity toward evil, after he had made captive Satan and Lilith. Under no circumstances was he to give them any food or any spices to smell. If he did, all his efforts would be wasted. He would thus only expose himself to the revenge of Satan. When the angel Metatron and his host had departed, Rabbi Joseph and his disciples began making preparations for their battle with the evil one. Rabbi Joseph della Reyna and his 5 disciples went up on Mount Sher. On the way they met many wild dogs. These, they very well knew, were demons that Satan had sent in order to confuse and frighten them. But Rabbi Joseph pronounced an incantation, and they vanished. As they continued on their way, they came to a snow-capped mountain that seemed to pierce the very heavens. They then pronounced mystic formulae that the angels had taught them, and the mountain vanished. On the 3rd day they came to a turbulent sea. Here too they recited mystic formulae, and the ocean dried up before their eyes. Further on they found their way obstructed by an iron wall which reached to the sky. Behind it stood Satan, lying in wait for them. Rabbi Joseph took a knife on which was engraved one of the mystic names of God, and with it he ripped the wall asunder. They then ascended a towering mountain from the top of which they heard the loud barking of dogs. When they finally reached the summit, Rabbi Joseph saw a hut. As he tried to enter, 2 frightfully big dogs sprang at his throat. Rabbi Joseph recognized them to be Satan and Lilith, So he quickly raised before them the metal plate with the ineffable name engraved upon it. Thereupon they lost their evil power and slunk away. The 5 disciples then bound the dogs with ropes, on which were tied little metal amulets engraved with the mystic names of God. Immediately the dogs were transformed. They took on the appearance of humans, except that they had wings and fiery eyes. "Do give us something to eat," they whined. But Rabbi Joseph recalled the angel Metatron's warning against falling prey to the weakness of pity towards evil, so he gave them no food. Rabbi Joseph and his disciples were now filled with indescribable bliss. At last they had succeeded in capturing Satan and Lilith. Now they would be able to bring Messiah down to earth. "Let us hurry," impatiently cried Rabbi Joseph della Reyna to his disciples. "We are already nearing our goal. Soon the gates of heaven will open wide for us, and the Holy Messiah will come forth to welcome us." All this time Satan and Lilith were moaning in heartbreaking voices, "Help us! Give us something to eat! We're dying of hunger!" Still, Rabbi Joseph della Reyna hardened his heart against them. When they saw that they could not swerve him, Satan and Lilith asked wheedlingly, "At least give us a smell of your spices, or we perish." Now Rabbi Joseph was a compassionate man. He could not endure the sight of suffering in man or beast. Having triumphed over Satan and Lilith, he thought he could now safely show a small measure of magnanimity towards them. He therefore gave them some of the strong spices to smell. Immediately tongues of searing flame shot from their nostrils. All their former strength returned to them. They tore away their bonds and summoned to their aid hosts of shrieking demons and devils. 2 of the disciples instantly died of terror. 2 of them went out of their minds and wandered away. Only Rabbi Joseph and 1 disciple remained. A terrible wailing was now heard in heaven, and the angels went into mourning. The Messiah wept and led his white horse back into its heavenly stall. Also the prophet Elijah grieved and hid the great shofar of the redemption. Then the voice of the Almighty sounded, "Pay heed, O Joseph della Reyna. No human has the power to end the exile. I alone will hasten the redemption of the Jewish people when the right time comes."